Wow, it's been a while. You know that thing that you love to do, that you've been meaning to do, that you never feel like doing? Well, guess what? You're never gonna feel like doing it. And, you know.
Just do it!
Hey everyone, my name is Lauren and welcome to Club Tric, formerly known as Skeptic She. If you've been here before, you know that Skeptic She was the name of this channel before when I was talking about atheist content, cults, religious deconstruction, content adjacent to that. And if you enjoyed that content, good news, I'm going to continue making it. So why am I calling this channel Club Tric now? Well, this is the alias that I use to make music under. It's my solo project name. It is named after my favorite fictional music venue in the 2000s drama One Tree Hill. I released a record under the Club Tric moniker called Pious Mouths about a year ago, and as you can probably tell by the name, and as you will see if you go listen to the album, which I really hope you do, there are a lot of themes on the album that tie into a lot of the content that I've talked about on this channel, so everything goes hand in hand. I am so proud of that album. I went through so many setbacks to get it done, and it's a huge reason that I haven't been posting on this channel. I thought about making separate YouTube channels for Club Tric and for Skeptic She to, you know, compartmentalize my music and my Skeptic She content, but frankly that's just way too much work. And also I was making music on this channel way before I started talking about my deconversion story or anything related to that. Both being a musician and sharing stories are at the core of who I am. I really don't want to limit myself to doing one or the other here, and I felt that continuing under the Skeptic She moniker would have kind of boxed me in. In the social media age, I really think we are our own brands, and our contents that each of us puts out is going to vary. So aside from creative projects, my husband and I eloped in 2021, and that took a surprising amount of preparation. Then we had to plan a COVID-safe reception in another state, which was also a huge pain. Even skipping all of like the mainstream trappings of weddings was still a lot of work. I'm glad we tried to keep it as simple as possible. Shortly after we got married, we got our first two cats about a year apart. We got one in the fall of 2021, and then our other one last December. Having never had cats or dogs before myself, my husband has had a lot of cats before. I had never had that experience before. I am allergic to cats and dogs. We had to get a specific type of cat that ended up working out pretty well with my allergies. I have no problems with my current cats, thank goodness. Yeah, but having never had cats or dogs before, I had no idea what I was doing. I was stressing, doing so much research ahead of time. I spent a lot of time researching and stressing over how to care for and train my cats. Siberians are very dog-like. They're super playful and affectionate. They need stimulation. They need some outside time, so we've had to harness train them, which has thankfully gone very well. They are truly the best floofs we could ask for. I just love them so much. We also had to move to a new city on a somewhat unexpected basis. Almost a year ago, this past January, we had some kind of slumlord behaviors happening for several years with our last management company, and we needed to get away from that. Finally, it worked out, oddly enough, with COVID, where I could work from home full-time, and my husband found a job that was more bus friendly, and we were able to move to this new city. All in all, we're in a pretty good place right now. So in the midst of all of those personal changes with getting married and getting our cats and moving, making a new album, there was and still is, if you ask me, a lot of turmoil happening within the online atheist community. And before you give me the typical, well, there is no atheist community, how can you have a community based on something you don't believe in? I'm hoping that most of you understand by now, the world is built around theistic beliefs, and it remains taboo to be an atheist in most places, sometimes to the point of imprisonment or murder. Obviously, I recognize that I'm very fortunate to live in a place where that's unlikely to happen, even though the US is trying to create a theocracy in some respects. So yes, there are very necessary atheist communities, and they're going to remain necessary for the foreseeable future. And in this context, I'm specifically talking about the online atheist community, so the atheist community of Austin, Matt Dillahunty, Jimmy Snow, Rachel Oates, Holy Kool-Aid, Cosmic Skeptic, Genetically Modified Skeptic, Shannon Q, Fundy Fridays, I could go on. I do consider myself a part of this community, albeit a very small one. So I've talked about this here before, that overall things were going really well for me in this sphere, in the skeptic atheist sphere. I'm super grateful for the people who brought my channel to some larger creators' attention. But yeah, that went downhill pretty quickly. Joining Twitter may have been the worst decision I made while getting to know other content creators. It didn't take very long before I got swept up in niche group chats that gossiped about each other and witnessed thinly veiled subtweets between YouTubers that I thought were friendly with each other. Even lighthearted tweets asking, for example, whether rocks or babies could be atheists devolved into weeks-long virtual shouting matches in the comments. I'm sure you've seen that if you've been on Twitter in this community at all. And this is really oversimplifying. As a lot of you know, I am vegan, but I'm not super preachy about it. So while on Twitter and being a part of some of those niche subgroups, including like vegan atheist subgroups, I saw this weird rift develop between my fellow vegan atheists and our omnivore counterparts. Some larger creators lost their ability to listen to any plant-based perspectives after harping on a few bad vegan takes. So a lot of us vegan atheists became pretty frustrated with that and with some of the ridicule that we saw. There were a lot of, again, those subtweets about plant-based people and just some jokes in poor taste. I found myself giving into a lot of the venting that was happening among us in those private group chats about people who were making those kind of off-color jokes and things like that, and found myself getting probably irrationally frustrated with them. And we all started to latch on to any opportunity to see those people as bad in other circumstances, even not related to veganism. Even aside from that, there were a lot of like these little sub fights and arguments and things that devolved pretty quickly on Twitter. I don't know why Twitter seems to have that effect on people, but yeah, I definitely got sucked into that. So this is kind of where I'm going to bring up some tea, I guess you could say. All that confirmation bias about each other was satisfied throughout 2021 when accusations of transphobia, verbal abuse, power imbalances, and even financial and domestic crimes got volleyed around group chats and in dozens of videos. Some of these accusations were objectively false, others were distorted beyond reason by Twitter and Reddit, and still others of these accusations should have been handled in a court of law and never made it online, if you ask me. Yet every accusation, no matter how unclear, was bolstered by public shaming campaigns and led some of the accused to self-harm and still others to near suicide. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not naming names here. I really don't want to pile on to people anymore. I just want to give context for why it's been hard to feel motivated to get back in this community. After I experienced some of that aforementioned verbal abuse in a Twitter thread, I felt empowered to join these public shaming collectives. I partly blame myself for the dissolution of what was once a very welcoming skeptic YouTuber group chat. It was especially focused on smaller creators trying to grow their channel. At a certain point, people started to ask, hey, this group has gone quiet. What's happening? What's going on? And I decided to speak up. Again, this is oversimplifying the situation, but I essentially demanded that certain larger creators hold their verbally abusive friends accountable and denounce their behaviors with no regard for the fact, and I'm saying, I had no regard for the fact that these creators had their own lives and were not responsible for other YouTubers. I also ended up sending a few sarcastic, critical DMs to the so-called abusive creator that I had a problem with. That was not fair. The way that he spoke to me was not fair, but the way I responded also wasn't fair. We have since apologized to each other, for the record, and in fact this person apologized to me on their own before they even knew that I had complained to anyone else about them. Hi, kitty. Hi. Can you see her tail? That's how apologies should work. Not by coercive public humiliation or getting mutual friends involved, but by the person deciding to apologize on their own. A demanded apology is never sincere, and a lack of an apology doesn't say anything about how the person actually feels about the situation. And sometimes the accused person actually has nothing to apologize for. There's a specific term that I could use for this phenomenon, but at the risk of being called a right-wing dog whistler, I'm just going to continue to call it public shaming. This public shaming involves relentless harassing, isolation, stalking, doxing, and removing resources from ordinary people and their associates due to typically vague accusations of harm. All of this is masked as accountability or community safety, and anyone can pile on, including people who have no idea who the accused person is, and they can feel good about themselves for doing an activism. Are scare quotes annoying? Should I not do that? I don't know. But as I've been learning since I took a break from YouTube, public shaming does absolutely nothing to benefit actual victims of abuse, nor does it lead the accused to change their behaviors, especially since the accusations against them are often false or exaggerated. And as I said, even if they have been abusive, you cannot coerce someone into accountability. The public shamer's stated goals may be good faith discourse, calling someone in, repairing a community, etc., but their real goal, I think in most cases, is punishment. That's it. It's Schadenfreude. Am I saying that right?
Schadenfreude.
And it's addicting as hell, especially in a manufactured, American-centric, highly cynical social echo chamber. When we feel powerless against, for example, religious conservatives in the White House, we take our thirst for change out on each other. In battling our peers, we're distracting ourselves from real-world problems and solutions, and that's exactly what those in power want. I could go on for hours about public shaming, leftist infighting, and divisions within the online atheist community, but frankly, I don't want to waste my limited time and energy fixating on that, at least not right now. Instead, I hope this sums up why I've taken such a long time away from my channel and highlights the major issues that ultimately pushed me away and led me to a lot of self-reflection over the last couple years. And I should note, I am optimistic about the future of this planet and of our little corner of the internet here. I just hope that we all come to realize that public shaming campaigns against our peers and all of this infighting against people who are ultimately on our side when it comes to what matters most, that really does nothing to bring us closer to a better future. Stepping off my soapbox here, if you're interested, I made a playlist of just some of the community issues I mentioned, which I'll link below. And as a disclaimer, this is only for context, and my sharing this playlist doesn't mean that I fully endorse or agree with every creator shown and everything they say, but I do want to say a huge thank you to my friend Andy Fellows and to Thomas Westbrook, aka Holy Kool-Aid, both of whom gave what I think are very reasonable and thoughtful perspectives on some of the community issues we've had over the past few years and how we can move forward in a better way. I will also include direct links to their videos in the description. I have so much more to share with you, including some much more lighthearted content, like maybe perhaps reading some of those old Scientology magazines I used to get. I am so excited to be back, and I really appreciate you for sticking with me. I know the algorithm is not going to be kind to me since I haven't posted in so long. But yeah, with that, thank you all so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, keep asking questions, and I will see you next time. Rambling. I have to burp. There we go.